crowded here this morning. I didn't think anybody was coming. All right, call us to order, and I'll ask Mr. Bell, you got the indication today, Commissioner Bell?
Yes, we have a visitor this morning, Major Fane Greenfield from our detention center is going to do the prayer this morning for us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for all the blessings that you have stored upon us. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We honor ourselves just to say thank you for being so good to us this morning, Lord. We ask that if you would to lead our leaders to doing the right thing and lead us and guide us in the right way so that we'll be what the county would have us to be. Father God, we're all your servants, so allow us to do our job as you lead us in doing our job. Father God, we thank you for all the blessing that you have stored upon us. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay, maybe recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before I forget, I promised the newspaper today that I would welcome a young man, Jerry Wheeler. He's coming in from Princeton High School and wants to learn about government. No comments, Mr. Newspaper. Well, we welcome you here, and I'm glad we got young people who are interested in how government works. Okay, let's move on to the approval of minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to read minutes for February 7th?
So move approval.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor, if you raise your right hand, please. It passes unanimously. Mr. Wood, I think we do have an adjustment this morning to the agenda.
We do. We'd like to add a motion for y'all to approve us, to authorize us to go after 2 grants, and I'll go into more detail on that later in the meeting. But there's a deadline for March 3rd for both of them, so this will be the last meeting we can approve those.
Okay. Are any other additions to the agenda? All right. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as it exists with the changes Mr. Wood just added.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. It's approved. Okay. Special recognition, and I assume that's why we've got so many folks here today, so I think we probably need to go around down front, didn't we?
Sure, if they hear protest.
Good morning.
But I hope they hear protest.
All right, we'll start with the 1-year LaToya Boone. Lori Bradley. Oh, I'm sorry. LaToya Boone was detention center. Lori Bradley, services on aging. Keisha Bowden, central services. Joshua Bauer, emergency medical services. Stephen Hall, inspections. Caitlin Martinez, sheriff's office. Robert Radford, sheriff's office. Pamela White, health department. Brent Woodall, detention center. John Brown, animal control. Cassidy Corbett, emergency medical services. Kenneth Dupree, sheriff's office. Kenneth Dupree, Sheriff's Office. Bonnie Gribble, Social Services. Latanya Henderson, Social Services. Angela Holcomb, Social Services. Jordan Jernigan, Environmental Health. Kevin Kearney, Emergency Services. Tyler Mitchell, Wayne Nett. Darlene Norris Joyner, Health Department. Skylar Parker, Emergency Medical Services. Matthew Rogers, Wayne Nett. Glenn Stevens, Sheriff's Office. Lindsay Thomas, Emergency Services. Dandrel Williams, Detention Center. And that's it for our 1 year. Moving on to our 5-year pins in just a moment.
Go to work, dude.
Ready? For the 5 years, we have Michael Evans, Facilities. Betsy Hood, Tax Office. Cheryl Jackson, Social Services. Satina Jackson, Social Services. Sean Adkins, Emergency Medical Services. Montrina Boney, Social Services. Philip Durham, Sheriff's Office. Robert Preston, Emergency Medical Services. Okay, that is it for our 5 years. All right, next is our 10-year service pins. And we'll begin with Therese Artis, Health Department. William Cornell, Sheriff's Office. Zachary Kinlaw, Sheriff's Office. Vicki Morris, Social Services. Thomas Parker, Sheriff's Office. Larry Paul, Information Technology. Allison Spate, Finance. Lisa Stewart, Social Services. That's it for our 10-year. All right, next we move on to our 15-year pins. We have Rex Hatch with the Sheriff's Office. Mary Magliochetti with the Social Services Office, and if I mess that up, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Polly Allegra, 4-H.
Joe knows how.
Wendy Bailey, Health Department. Nanette Sutton, Wayne Net. And that is it for our 15. We have one recipient for 20-year service pin, and that is Lynn Price, Social Services. And last but certainly not least, 25 years, Stephen Mazingo, Sheriff's Office.
I have a complaint. Commissioners won't get our pen.
Put this motion under unfinished business or new business.
Boy, they cleaned out
Mr. Wood,
Yeah.
Mr. Wood, those two motions, you want to put those under new business?
Yes,
Number 8?
and Joe's got it.
Yeah. Okay. If you said that, I just missed it. Well, we'll very quickly move into unfinished business. I think we could probably knock out at least one of those anyway. The first one is a motion to approve revised resolution to name the center portion of the new Highway 70 Goldsboro bypass in honor of John Carr III. And we made this motion sometime in the past, but I believe, as I recall, the policy of the state, you have to be deceased at least 1 year before the road can be named after. And I think that's the reason we're back with this today. Is that correct, Mr. Wood?
That's correct.
Okay. Someone like to make that motion?
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor. Before we vote on that, I was supposed to allow public comments. Does anyone want to make any statements about this motion? Okay, having here now, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion is approved. We probably got time to knock out that second one too. I want to let you talk about that, Mr. Wood, if you would, the airport.
Actually, it's 9:15 now.
I'm sorry?
It's 9:15.
It is 9:15, okay, that's off about a half a minute. We'll try to get that fixed next time. Okay, let me open the public comment time, so if anyone who wants to speak can come up, you'll give your name and your phone number, and you can come up, got 4 minutes. Is there anyone? Before I close public comments, I do have something I would like to say. We lost someone who always came to public comments in the last couple of weeks, Mr. Tom Drew. And we'll miss him. He always had something to say. He entertained us a lot, but he passed on. But we won't be seeing him anymore. And if anybody else wanted to say anything else about that, but
Just briefly, you know, I agree with what you said. You know, sometimes he was way above my level. He was, on some things, he was much smarter than I was. He was sincere in what his beliefs were, and that's why we have the privilege and the freedoms that we have in America. He had the same right as all of us to express his opinion, and he did. But as Mr. Pate said, he will be missed because he
didn't always agree with, and like I said, sometimes didn't understand him, but he was passionate about what his beliefs were.
Exactly.
And you got to applaud him for that. Anyhow,
Tom,
Yes.
Tom was a very unusual person. I'll never forget the time about maybe 8 years ago, the school board and the county commission was having some sort of intense dialogue with each other. And Tom came up and he diagnosed it for us. He said the problem with the school board and the county commissioners, he said they are operating just like a breadless banana sandwich.
Mr.
Never
Chairman,
did figure that one out.
yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think probably one thing about free speech and which Mr. Drew operated in that free speech arena is that the nation could take heed as to what free speech really means and be well aware that although we may not always agree with what another person is saying or the point of view, it's always respectful to be able to listen to their point of view because we see things through a different lens. We just don't simply see things just alike. And so, to the news media, thank you for what you all do because y'all tend to take the lead in the free speech category, and that's to be appreciated. And Mr. Drew spoke his mind, and I think somebody already said he brought up subjects that a lot of us hadn't thought about. And certainly when he passed out those papers, if you glanced at them, there's some things on there that clearly we hadn't thought about. So,
Mr. Bailey.
I just want to thank this Board of Commissioners because, you know, we looked around and we tried to find reasons, and I'm including myself, tried to find reasons to not listen to Tom, not let him get up to have his public time. But you know, this Board of Commissioners made an exception to that. There's some other places around town that forbid him to attend different meetings and so forth. We did not. I think that what we saw and what we have seen through Tom Drew is exactly what the Constitution of the United States is all about. Every person, no matter who they are, has a right to stand up and say, as long as it doesn't offend anyone or get out of hand. And I found a lot of things to do sometimes when Tom was speaking, like iPhones and looking through my agenda. But the bottom line is that, and I think I heard, I'm not putting you on the spot, Commissioner Bell, but I remember at some point a few years ago, and I think Jack Best may have said it also, that early on, years and years ago, that Mr. Drew, some of the things that he brought before this commission board, the commissioners actually used. He had some ideas that were usable by this board. So I think it's a perfect example of what being an American citizen is all about, that we have that right to stand up and be heard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public comment.
Can I say something, please?
Sure, come on up.
Morning. My name is Steve Cole. I live at 102 Helms Court, Goldsboro, North Carolina, 27530. Phone number 919-920-2268. Good morning, Commissioners. It's been a while since I've been here to visit y'all. I'm not here to comment about the North Creek Canterbury Village Road project. I've talked with George and Carol about the updates on it, and we're all happy and looking forward to the work that's going to get done here real soon this spring. I came today to support the property owners of Lane Tree Village. I know we've got at least one of the property owners here today. I just want to know they've got a petition turned in. We'll let them know this is the beginning of the process for them. It's not the end of it, and they need to keep working to get their signature count up. I know there's been discussion about whether to change the road repair policy, increase the borrowing limit. If that doesn't happen, I know the time frame could get pushed out quite a bit. I would just say for the properties of Lane Tree Village and the commissioners, it would be in their best interest to get the repairs done sooner than later. Right now, we're at a time where fuel rates are relatively low, interest rates are relatively low. In a couple of years, we don't know what's going to happen, and the costs are just going to go up. So for the residents of Lane Tree Village and for the commissioners' consideration, I hope they can work through the process and get on the same path we have, sooner than later, and get it done as cheap as they can. Thanks.
My name is Jennifer McKeever. I live at 123 Cliffwell Drive. My number is 912-737-9986. And I do live in Lane Tree. I live on Cliffwell, and I have also owned a home on Lane Tree Drive and have been dealing with the road situation for over a decade. Myself and 3 other neighbors worked on Lane Tree Drive to privately pay to fix our pothole. That was about $1,600 out of our pockets that we did fix ourselves through a professional asphalt company. And it's very concerning, obviously not just for our property values, which also affects the county's income for taxes, but also just for safety. We had, in front of my house on Lane Tree, there was a motorcycle accident because of the pothole. And if you live in Lane Tree, you know how to drive through it, you know how to swerve and avoid. This person was not from Lane Tree visiting, was driving a motorcycle, hit the pothole and flipped. I was outside in my backyard, I heard it, the metal, awful sound, and ran around front to see him get up a bloody mess. He was okay, he survived, but it's a very serious issue. I'm sure you guys all agree. It is not just eyesore, it's not just a pain in the neck, it is. And I'm afraid that it will become life and death. So I'm doing everything I can to work with my neighbors. It also is, I've had to take a half-day vacation just to be here to speak to you today. The time investment for everyone who's worked on these petitions, the changeover in hands, the longer this gets dragged out, more houses turn over and sell, and we have to take the time to try to meet the new owner to get that petition updated. So I would love it if, once we reach that 75%, if that could be accepted and the borrowing limit extended, and whoever has signed up, that on that signatures at that time, and the neighborhood be assessed, then we can deal with that debt. And as we sell our houses, we can deal with that debt between us and the new owner. So dragging it out is costing a lot and paying out of our pockets that is going to get dug up anyways and redone in the future. So if we can prioritize that. I care a lot. I've raised 4 kids in this neighborhood. I could have washed my hands of it and said, I'm going to move somewhere else because this is a headache, but I chose to buy another house in this neighborhood. I love it. My children have friends to play with, and it's a very family-friendly neighborhood. I would like to invest in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're closed out. All right, moving on to the next item. Let's see here. the motion to approve the construction contract. You want to talk about that at the airport, if you would?
Right. This is the Odals project, which is a project to replace some of the runway lighting. And the low bid was $116,090 to Cedar Peaks Enterprises, Inc. W.K. Dixon has reviewed all of the bids. They also gave you a bid tabulation sheet on those. There were 5 bids on it, and they're recommending that you go with the low bid of $116,090. Just to refresh everybody's memory, this is a 90-10 grant. So the North Carolina Division of Aviation is putting in 90%. The county's putting in the 10% on it, so it's a very good deal for the county to move forward with this, and these replacements are very badly needed. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Been a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. And I skipped the appointment committee. I didn't mean to.
That's fine.
We'll come back to you. How about that?
That's fine. We met this morning. We have one recommendation for the appointment of Charlie M. Ward to the Wayne County Planning Board. I'd like to put this in form of a motion.
Have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay.
And lastly, we're still in need of applicants for the Housing Appeals Board. We've received 2, one from Commissioner Daugherty and myself. And I'd like to ask every commissioner to make an attempt to try to find somebody out of their respective district to serve on that Housing Appeals Board. That concludes.
Thank you, sir. And I hope we haven't skipped anything else. We can move on over to the consent agenda. We really didn't discuss a whole lot during the briefing, so perhaps we need to go over it a little bit.
Okay. The application for present use value is from Judy Harrison and Jesse Denning. It's family-owned land. It's been in their family for some time. It meets all the criteria. It was just late because the person who's been leasing it was ill. So we recommend approval of that.
Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And now we'll move up to the budget minutes and let the finance director kind of go over those if she would.
Okay, and we do have several this morning. The first one is for the road program. This is a rural operating assistance program for 691633. These are additional funds that we've received, so we are requesting that we appropriate those funds for expenditure. Then for EMS department, $27,149. We are requesting, this had to do with some liability claims for payment, so we are asking that we move those out of contingency to make those payments out of the EMS fund. And that money would be transferred over to EMS. For the 911 fund, they are reallocating out of some existing line items to appropriate for tower maintenance in the amount of $7,000.
And I was going to say, if you got questions, please ask, because at the end of it, if nobody has any questions, we'll just do the whole group and approve it that way, if that's okay, Mr. Counselor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, please.
Okay.
Please proceed.
For WCDA, Wayne Manufacturing, this budget amendment is needed to appropriate the reimbursement expected to be received from the WCDA for the work done on the Wayne Manufacturing Center.
Am I correct in that particular one that we are being reimbursed from WCDA?
That's right. Okay, for the Health Department, the WIC program, 8304, they received additional funds from the Division of Public Health and are appropriating that for the Women, Infants, and Children program. For MRAC, $10,691.22. This was additional Eastern Region monies received from the Wayne Water District. These were actually sales tax, how we get our sales tax back. They received their sales tax back on that money that we gave them out of Eastern Region monies, and they are returning that to us because they did not use it. So we are putting that in the Maxwell Regional Agriculture and Convention Center Fund. For social services, $22,810. This is to increase the temporary help services line. 50% of that is being reimbursed out of state revenue, and the remaining 50% from existing county funds. And this increase is due to increased demand in services for interpretation and needing hearing assistance to hearing impaired clients. For environmental health, $2,500 from the FDA to appropriate for a self-assessment of the environmental health program. And so the FDA is providing those funds for the health program to do that, and to do some training as well. For Wings Over Wayne, a total of $25,000. $15,000 is the sponsorship, which is what has typically been done in the past. And then the $10,000 additional is the money that was appropriated or voted on in the last meeting to appropriate for promotions for Wings Over Wayne. For the detention center, $19,900. They are moving this money from a non-capital line item to a capital line item. This is being paid for out of the SCAP monies, which is the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. And they are still going to be tracking that money to use it for grant funds, but it's basically it's a accounting entry. It's a fixed asset, so we're moving it to a capital line item. For the sheriff's office, $25,6562. This was for insurance refunds received. For IT, $10,000. They have been installing or doing an IP Flex cutover project. Basically, they're replacing our phone system with a more internet-based system. Because of that, they're going to run dual systems for a few months. We'll experience some double billing, so they're going to just cover that out of one of their existing line items. For the sheriff's office, $11,550. This is to appropriate funds and anticipate reimbursements received for a meth class that's being held at Wayne Community College, and it's sponsored by the sheriff's office. And the next several that I'm presenting to you are all related to lapsed salaries, and this is where we start running our reports about this time of year to true up our salaries to what they actually look like they're going to project to be through June. This allows us during the budget process to have a truer picture of what our salaries look like for the year and then project for next year. So the first few are for the sheriff's office, and as you can see, they are reallocating that line from salary and wages and extra help. So it's not increasing our budget, it's coming out of another salary line item. Then there's one for the sheriff's office for $58.69, and it's also coming out of existing line items. One for the detention center for $77.28, and they are also covering these salaries with existing line item. For literacy connections, they are covering their line items, but it is noted that all of their salaries are reimbursed by them to us. So this is not really costing us anything. We will bill them for what their true salaries are. For inspection, $75.89. This is also coming out of their out of some lapsed salaries in the general fund. For EMS net, this one is to cover lapsed salaries. However, I do need to point out that 6 positions, and I've included the excerpt from the original budget behind your budget amendment. These were 6 positions that they requested and that you all approved in the original budget. However, we didn't put the money in the original budget. So what we wanted to do was see if lapsed salaries would cover it at the end of the year. And we were able to cover some of it with lapsed salaries, but the remaining part is going to be coming out of a transfer from 110. Is there any questions on that one? Okay. For animal control, this is also lapsed salaries. They're coming out of existing line items. And then 911, $62.40 is to cover their lapsed salaries. And then we have one for OES to cover their lapsed salaries as well.
Thank you.
Questions? You're welcome.
Are there any questions?
She's been mighty busy.
Any Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
So moved.
Is there a motion on the floor? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you again. Okay, moving on to new business, Mr. Crumpler. We've got Mr. Harris here too.
Yes, sir. All righty. Good morning. Well, the county has been active in the last few months of taking applications for hazard mitigation grant program assistance. We're still receiving applications for this program. This is referred to DR 4285, Hurricane Matthew Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through the Division of Emergency Management. The deadline for our letter of interest back to emergency management is March 31st. So we're taking these applications, processing them. Building inspections offices are going out doing substantial damage letters or estimates on these buildings. They're notifying the owner in writing of whether they were substantially damaged or not. We do a flood determination on each structure as to whether it was in a flood zone, what flood map, what flood elevation is at that site. We include this in our application. So this has been going on for a couple of months now. So as part of the hazard mitigation grant program, there's several different projects that can be done. Of course, the main one that you've heard about mostly is acquisition or buyout program. That's where the county purchases the home and the lot is cleared and it's dedicated as open space. One other project is an elevation or house raising where the finished floor of a home is elevated 2 foot above BFE, base flood elevation. And the homeowner reoccupies a home. So you've mitigated that house out of a flood hazard. Other types of projects include mitigation, reconstruction, generators, early warning systems, regional plans, stormwater management, wind retrofits, and the mitigation of commercial properties. Wayne County is handling the HMGP application for Wayne County, plus the city of Goldsboro, town of Mount Olive, and Seven Springs. So we're having one grant application. So they will be all included in one. And of that, I have a rundown here of the number of projects that we have that have applied. 271 acquisition projects, and of these, 125 received less than 50% damage determined by a building inspector. 146 of these were greater than 50% damage. 229 of that 271 were inside of a mapped flood hazard, and 42 of these were not in a mapped flood zone. And I have a double asterisk by that last note there. It details that 21 structures received greater than 50% damage, but they were not located in a flood hazard, a mapped flood hazard zone. So those are always going to be a concern in applying for this grant, and we need to be aware of that. We also have had 22 elevation projects applicants have applied for. Of those, 10 were less than 50% damage, 12 were greater than 50%, 15 were located in a flood zone, 7 were not. 19 of these homes experienced water above the first floor. So 19 of those 21, of those 22 experienced water above the first floor. 3 experienced water under the home and in the crawl space, but not over the first floor. And then one other project we have is an emergency generator with the town of Mount Olive has applied for. And that's what we have today through the hazard mitigation program. I have Mr. David Harris here, who is helping us with our letter of interest. If we can answer any questions, I'll try my best.
Questions?
Just one quick one, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Am I understanding you are applying for a grant to acquire these properties?
Yes.
And of the acquisition projects, 229 of those are actually in a mapped flood area?
Yes.
Are you indicating more than likely those properties would be approved for purchase?
I think that the being in a map flood hazard would raise their priority ranking in being selected to be acquired, yes. Obviously, ones that were over 50% damaged were in a map flood hazard, they're gonna receive a higher priority ranking.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just following up on that, what would the timeframe be to the end, actually, that acquisition?
Years.
I know, I hate to put him on the spot, but I'm sure the people who are in those houses would really like it.
It was about a 4-year project before. I would like to think that it would be shorter. I'm not gonna quote, the grant, our letter of interest is returned the 31st of March. The state, when do they submit, the grant to the FEMA?
Within 90 days.
Within 90 days.
But that's,
Couldn't appear.
It's really a two-part process. The state takes applications March 31st, reviews them, consults with FEMA as to the priorities. The reason being that they're receiving applications from all the counties that were damaged or had housing damaged in Hurricane Floyd. So it's going to be a question at that point, what will the dollar amount of the request, how much money is available? That's going to sort of establish what the priority is going to be. When FEMA and the state have decided that they have prioritized them and they are within the funds they have available, then they will submit a request to each of those counties to say, hey, out of your 300 applicants, here are 200 or 250 that we would want you to provide full applications on. And then once that happens, it goes to the feds for environmental, historic properties, and a number of other things. The process is going to take through the end of this year to go through the state's preliminary review, FEMA's preliminary review, submittal of full applications in hopefully about 90 days, and then final grant agreements hopefully by the end of the year. And in terms of the time frame, you can probably expect 3 years after that. Certainly there've been effort if we can team a lot of attorneys and surveyors and appraisers together. In fact, everybody in the county may be working on it, then it could be done a little bit quicker. But what we're telling the people, don't get your hopes up in terms of it's going to be a speed up sort of a system with this many houses. And remember, they have to have a place to relocate to also. So that comes into the scheduling of closings.
Yes.
The March 31st deadline, is that Matthew only, or does that include Hermine and the wildfires?
All of them.
All of them. So
Yes.
it's going to be a bigger load than just Matthew.
Yes.
Is what people need to understand.
Yes.
Anything else? Don't go away though.
Thank Chip for taking the lead on doing a combined letter of interest for all the municipalities as well, and bringing on David Harris for his expertise. He'll expedite it for us, I'm sure.
Chip, before we move to those subdivisions, I have a single moment I forgot to do.
Okay.
The sheriff's here, and he wanted to give us a quick update. And but don't go far away, because he won't be here long. I forgot about it. He needs to go back to work. I saw him sitting right there.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, about a month ago, we had the ribbon cutting for the Carrier Winders Detention Center, but there were a few tweaks we had to make after that before we could formally open it. As of 2 weeks ago, we started moving inmates into the detention center, and as of yesterday, we were able to bring everyone back from out-of-county detention centers and put them in our facilities. So we have got everyone back now. I will say that I can't take the credit for that. We have a great staff in the detention center under the administration of Major Greenfield and Captain Thaxton, and their staff have worked really hard to get everyone back as fast as they have. It's a little sooner than we thought we could do it, so we're pleased to announce that this morning. Heard any questions?
I think deserves a round of applause.
I agree. Thank you, and appreciate you working with us on it to get the facility built.
Thank you, Sheriff.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving back to Mr. Chip.
Okay, the next item we have is a preliminary subdivision approval for Gander Lake Phase 2 and Phase 3. This is a preliminary. The owner-developer is Gander Lake Development. Surveyor is Dalton Engineering and Associates. It's located on Buckswamp Township on Pikeville Princeton Road, which is SR 1002. There are 2 phases in this. Lots 31 and 42 are Phase 2, and lots 43 through 69 are in Phase 3. Section 70-74 of the Wayne County subdivision ordinance requires that for every major subdivision within its jurisdiction which does not qualify for an abbreviated minor subdivision process, the subdivider shall submit a preliminary plat which shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Commissioners. The preliminary plat for Gander Lake Phase 2 and 3 is a revision of an original preliminary that was submitted and approved by the county in 2012. The new preliminary adds a Phase 3, which was not originally shown in the 2012 version. Now, somehow, I'm not sure if it's in your agenda packages, but in mine, we inadvertently, I must have not sent it, but the Phase 3 was left out. What you're seeing is Phase 2. I have a large version of Phase 3 if you'd like to see that. I just noticed that this morning, or else I would have printed copies, but we do have Phase 3 is one cul-de-sac that comes in. This was on a new piece of property, and this was the main reason we're requiring the revised preliminary. They showed the water lines, fire hydrants, everything in place. This did go before the planning board and was approved. Which y'all like to see is passed.
Just one question, Chip. It does have an easement for emergency vehicles off of 581.
It has 2 entrances to 581, this subdivision does.
So it's right there at 581.
It's at 581 to Johnson County line.
Okay,
on
I'm
the other
sorry.
side of Highway 1.
I had it mixed up with another one. You're right.
This has 2 entrances out to 581. This is on one entrance. This is actually a cul-de-sac that meets our street requirements. And has one entrance out here, which is Corbell Drive, goes out to Pikeville Princeton Road. The other side of the subdivision, further towards the Johnson County line, is the Phase 2 preliminary that you see in your agenda package.
What is that down in the corner there that's got all those dots to it?
Right here,
Yeah.
this is a open space, permanently protected open space area that holds the erosion control and sedimentation pond, which will be converted to a permanent stormwater pond upon completion of the subdivision.
Okay.
It's a permanent device, and that's a space dedicated to.
Thank you.
So, this preliminary has got 39 residential lots between the 2 sections. Does have 1 permanently protected open space and 1 recreational lot. In Phase 2, you'll see another area that's designated as a recreational area. That is a pool, clubhouse, and playground area for the subdivision. There are 2 existing streets. It's the extension of 2 existing streets and the construction of 2 new streets. These 2 sections contain 24.47 acres off Pikeville Princeton Road, 1/2 mile west of its intersection with Gurley Dairy Road. There's no zoning and no map flood hazards there. The average lot size is approximately 1/2 acre. There's about 0.53 miles in new streets. They will utilize public water and on-site sewer. There is a 1.06 acre permanently protected open space with a detention basin. This is within the Charles B. Aycock High School, Norway Middle, and Northwest Primary School District. It's within serviced by Northwest Wayne Sanitary District for water. It is serviced by Little River Fire Department, EMS Station 2. It is within the RPO for transportation planning. And it is within the water supply watershed area for Wayne County. No ag districts present, no wetlands, and it's in Board of Commissioners District 1. This did go before the Wayne County Planning Board at its last meeting, and they recommended that it be approved. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this a subdivision, is it required to have an HOA?
When they get to the final, which you should see next month, they will have a HOA. They do have one in place for the maintenance of their streets. And they'll have a statement on their final plat. This is just the preliminary. Next month, when you see the final, it'll have a statement on there that says that the owner developer is responsible for the streets until taken over by a homeowners association or taken over by the NCDOT or taken over by a private maintenance contract. That will be on the final plat. And they do have it in their homeowners association bylaws that they're responsible for the streets until such time, as well as the open space areas, maintenance of the open space areas.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Who'd like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to
Oh, do you
approve.
mind? We have a motion on the floor. Any more questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Okay, the next item we have is the subdivision plat approval for Plantation Point, Section 2. This is a final subdivision plat. It consists of 18 lots. This is the final section of this preliminary for Plantation Point. The owner developer is J&N Developers LLC. The surveyor is Dan Butler. It is located in the Indian Springs Township on Sleepy Creek Road, which is SR 1120. It does consist of lots 17 through 34, which is 18 lots. It does have one open space area at the rear for stormwater. Has one cul-de-sac named Rolling Knoll Court. It does, in the open space area at the back is where their mailbox kiosks will be located. So it has centralized mailing units on that open space at the cul-de-sac. This subdivision is located off Sleepy Creek Road, 1/3 of a mile west of its intersection with Sleepy Creek Club Road. It is on the outer horizontal for height restrictions only. The average lot size is a little over 20,000 square feet. They will utilize public water and on-site sewer. The property is shown within the rural enclave area on the Wayne County Growth Strategy maps. Improvements are completed and an NCDOT built to standards letter has been submitted to the county. The developer has signed a statement on the plat regarding the maintenance of the street and the right-of-way until they are accepted onto the state secondary road system. They do have a homeowners association in place which takes care of the maintenance on those, both streets and the open space area until such time as it's turned over. It is located within Spring Creek High School, Spring Creek Middle School, Spring Creek Elementary School Districts. It is serviced by Southeast Wayne Sanitary for water. The fire station is Indian Springs Fire Department, EMS Station 8. It is within the Eastern Carolina Council of RPO for transportation planning. There are no water supply, it's not within a water supply watershed. There's no ag districts present, no wetlands, and it's within Board of Commissioners District 6. This is a final plat, so once this is signed by the chairman, approved and voted on, signed by the chairman, and it's recorded, and they can sell lots in this subdivision and start building homes. This did go before the planning board at their last meeting, and they recommended it be approved.
Mr. Chairman, I move motion on the floor to approve. Are there any questions? Having done, those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Wood, can you brief us on the next one very quickly?
Yes, I've given you a memo on this that goes into some detail on it. We have met with Dr. Walker, and we've been working with the City of Goldsboro to determine a way to speed up the construction of the Advanced Manufacturing Center's renovations. They have approximately $1.6 million of improvements remaining. They'll be paid from WCC's allocation of the state bond issue. And because state money is involved, state bond money is involved, the North Carolina State Construction Office will be overseeing the project. And that office has recently approved the hiring of an architect for the project, so they're in the process of designing everything now. The issue that we have is that we can only do in any 1 year construction equal to 1/2 of the appraised value of the existing building, since a portion of the building is in the 100-year floodplain. So that's a rule that FEMA has that has to be complied with. But I do want to point out that the building did not flood during Hurricane Matthew. We got pictures of that. Nevertheless, FEMA rules will apply. The City of Goldsboro is responsible for the administration of the FEMA flood insurance program within the city limits, and so that's who we need to deal with. It's the same as in the county. Chip, as our planning director, administers the flood protection for insurance program for us. We are getting a determination from the city of how much of the renovation work counts towards the FEMA limit. Some of the work may not require a building permit and therefore would not count towards the limit. Dr. Walker is also getting an appraisal that may raise the dollar amount involved. It could take 2 or 3 years under FEMA rules to get this work done. However, the city has made us aware that we could ask for a variance from the annual FEMA work limitation. The WCDA would need to be the applicant as they own the building. WCC would be a co-applicant as the tenant. Since we are allowed to do the construction work, the only issue is whether we would have to split the work into multiple years to comply with the FEMA guidelines. The variance would be to waive that requirement so that the construction work can be done in one contract and probably within 1 year. As I said, the architectural plans are being drawn now. Once completed, if we get the variance, Wayne Community College can bid the project out. What I'm recommending that you do is you endorse the variance request by the WCDA, as getting this component of Wayne Community College in place is critical to training our students in these various occupations and providing the skilled workforce needed by our businesses. It also will free up about 21,000 square feet of classroom space at Wayne Community College to expand their course offerings. And if you agree to it, then I do plan on attending that variance to their Board of Appeals at the city. And of course, Dr. Walker will be there and Crystal Geddes with WCDA. But this is what we've come up with as a means of short-circuiting this process and trying to get this thing back on and get it done as quickly as possible.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners endorse Wayne County Development Alliance request to seek a variance from the City of Goldsboro for the Advanced Manufacturing Center.
We have a motion to endorse on the floor. Is there any questions or comments? I have just one. I just want to thank the city for helping us find a different solution, because this has been something that this board has been pushing for a long time.
I agree. I think they are helping us just as much as they possibly can.
But also, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Walker, he sees the importance of this to Wayne County, and this is one of his top priorities, is to get that operation going.
I'm glad everybody's working together on it. Anyhow, motion's on the floor to endorse. All those in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Okay. Ms. Pate, on the floor.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to present to you is the county financial statements, the quarterlies as of December 31st. And you have 3 handouts for the county's financial statements. You have one that is titled to Wayne County Board of Commissioners. You have a chart and you have an explanation of substantial items. I know it's in order here. Okay. So this is based on, as of December 31st, so this is 50% of the way through our fiscal year. And this obviously details the cash and the general fund revenues and expenditures, and then we've got some selected funds that we presented information for. I'm also going to update you on the sales tax and our year-to-date expenditures for the Hurricane Matthew. So our cash balances as of December 31st were a little over $84.7 million. And as you can see from this time of December 2015, that is a decrease, but this is mainly related to the amount of money we've been spending on capital projects and things like that. So we're basically reinvesting those in assets. And If you move on down to revenues and expenditures, our revenues right now have exceeded expenditures by a little over 7.8 million. And most of this is basically because at this point we've received most of the bulk of our property taxes, but we're only 50% of the way through the year with our expenditures, so there's a little bit of a mismatch there. But so right now, revenues are over expenditures, and that's the main reason. We have a couple of other outliers, but that's the biggest one. And then, as compared to the prior year, at December 31st, 2015, if you'll look at your first item on the explanation of substantial items, number 1, I've broken that out to the main components as to why, you know, we're seeing at this time in December 2015, we were revenues over expenditures a little over 16 million. And so now it's 7.8 million. So I've kind of broken that out as to what those differences may be. And some of the larger ones have to do with the timing and the real estate tax payments and how much we've received at this point versus last year at this time. And then another, it has to do with the difference in the transfers to and from funds. And again, that has to do with our capital project fund transfers, because we've had transfers for MRAC and 911 Center and I've lost my train of thought. But we've had several capital projects that we've transferred money for. So those are the biggest items. And then moving on to the property taxes. If you look at this year versus last year, it may startle you like it did me at first, because this time last year we were at 38.4 million and this year we're at 34.7. So I quickly called Mr. Lumpkin and said, can you please explain this to me? Because I was stressing a little bit about that. We have and this is going to be number 2 on your significant items explanation. We do have a large taxpayer that typically pays a little earlier than they did this year. Now, they were still timely, but their tax bill is about $3 to $4 million. So that is why you're seeing a difference, and we look a little lower at this time than we did last year. And I'm sure because of the nature of this taxpayer's business, they were probably affected by the hurricane and the ice storm. So they did pay timely, but it was a little later than usual. So I just wanted to point out that we are on track still for our property tax revenue. So if you move down to sales taxes, this is going to be number 3 on your items of explanation of substantial items. And right now, our total sales taxes are at $9.126 million, excluding the new Article 44. At this time last year, the total was $9.112, which is a little less than where we are now. If you look at the chart that I've given you on the sales taxes, I think this is encouraging. The first bar starts at November of 16. So if you look at November 15 and then match November 16 against it, you'll see November of this past year was quite a bit more. And then the same thing occurred with December. So our sales taxes were trending upwards. But if you'll notice, January, which represents October sales, we went down, and I think we all probably know why that is. But the encouraging news to me was that we were trending up before that. So I'm anxious to get in data from December and the holiday collections to kind of see how that's gonna work out.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This is really encouraging because this is the first report that we received since the bypass is opened.
Right.
And it is indicating basically that the bypass has not had a big negative effect to our sales tax.
Right, because the last time I presented to you was at September 30, and I think we didn't have quite as much data. We might have had 1 month at that point, and so that was not really a good representation, but was all we had to go by. So this is very encouraging that this isn't even your holiday months, but you're seeing a trend upwards, excluding the month of the hurricane. So I was encouraged by that as well. So hopefully next quarter will be even better news.
All right, so mark this one up. Joe was wrong. Did you see Steve pop his head up like, I can't believe he said that? Because I, for one, felt like that the opening of the bypass would really have a big negative effect on our sales tax.
Well, I hope, I mean, we still don't have a whole lot of data, but this is encouraging. So, hopefully that will continue. And I'll continue to give these charts for as long as you'd like to see them.
Okay,
So.
I'll hush now.
So the fourth thing on your explanation of substantial items is just kind of an update on where we are with the Hurricane Matthew expenditures. I thought this might be interesting for you. And the total amount that we have charged to those line items right now is $524,634. The bulk of this amount does represent salaries and related fringes, but the remaining amounts have to do with food and supplies needed during that time, as well as your debris removal contracts and things like that. Now, obviously, we are waiting on FEMA reimbursement. We have not received anything to date from FEMA. We've received some insurance reimbursements, and so we're just continually providing the information that FEMA is asking for and making sure that we're doing everything we need to get that reimbursement as quickly as possible. But my understanding from some of the other jurisdictions is we're all kind of facing the same delays, and there's been a lot of changes in personnel and things like that. So we will definitely be updating you as soon as we start getting those reimbursements in. So if you move on down to the next section of the report, this kind of details the different general fund departments, and then we move into proprietary funds and capital project funds. And I'm just going to hit some of the highlights, and obviously if you have any questions, just please stop me. Public health, if you look at their revenues and expenditures, their revenues, some good news that we received is that they received their Medicaid cost settlement, and it was actually a good bit more than what they had anticipated. So at this point, they've received the 14-15 settlement. They're waiting on that 10% retainage that the state holds to do the audit. I think they're still waiting on the 13-14 retainage as well. And then obviously now that 15-16 has closed, we'll be waiting on those monies. But we did receive the 14-15 monies, and it was quite a bit more than what we anticipated. So that was good news. Then for emergency telephone, I just wanted to point out there, the budget looks a little bit off. If you're looking at percent of budget annually, it's sitting there at 4%. But that is because at that time we had, if you recall, we did a budget amendment not so long ago to correct where we had budgeted for the 911 center in that fund, and we've since reversed that. So it looks a little bit skewed right now, but you'll see in the next quarterly statement that should be a little bit more aligned with the budget. Then for the, I'm going to jump down to sewer unless there's any you want me to stop on. For sewer, if you look at their percent of budget revenues and expenditures, I just wanted to point out those look low because we had budgeted the $820,000 in the revolving loan funds. And so that's sitting there, whether we use that or not, but that's sitting there right now. So that's kind of the reason it looks a little off. Then for MRAC, revenues received mostly are donations. We have received one payment for occupancy tax from the city, and we are expecting the next payment was would have been as of December 31st. So we've been in contact with them, and we are expecting to receive that payment anytime. We're receiving those quarterly. For the airport, fuel revenues are up this year, so that's good news for the airport. Their revenues look a little off just because we have those grant funds in there, and we don't budget for those until those grant monies come in. So that has a lot to do with those funds. Then workers' comp and hospitalization, those are doing pretty well. Right now, there's no major news to share with you. Workers' comp's up a little bit, but other than that, it's staying pretty stable. So I think no news is good news on those funds. Then I'm going to skip down, unless you have any other questions, to...
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I do want to have a little bit of conversation on the insurance,
Okay.
self-insurance fund, because actually that's below our budget, not only for revenues but also for expenditures, which to me I think is kind of good because, we're halfway through the year and maybe the county manager can give us.
Yeah, we just had a meeting with Mark III on this. If you look at the trend from the previous year, we had a bad year last year. However, since July, it has been a good year so far this 6 months. I would just caution you that at this time last year, it looked like we were gonna have a good year. And then what, April, May, and June, the bottom
Right,
fell
yeah.
out. But you are correct, as of right now, it's much better, Joe.
Okay.
And we're hoping that continues. But the estimation that we're gonna bring to you shortly, it'll probably be at the next meeting, on the renewal, is based on the prior year, the last couple of years, and both of them were not good, so,
Well, hopefully everybody will stay healthy.
yes.
The final section is on selected capital projects, and these are kind of what you would expect to see. If you look at the jail and Grantham and Spring Creek and the other school projects, those are close to completion. And then, as you can see on Fiber Loop, the 911 center, those are just starting out, so we don't really have a lot of expenditures up and going on those yet. Then, as you can tell, the Ag Center from this time last year, of course, has made some pretty good progress. So those are the capital projects that we have to report on you as of December 31st. Are there any, do you have any questions on these before I move over to tourism? Okay. All right, then the two-page report that you have for Wayne County Tourism Development Authority. This is also as of December 31st, so this is again representing 50% of the way through the year. And there's good news on this one. We are collecting more than what we anticipated for budget. If you look at your percent of budget under revenues, you will see we're at 61.81%, and that's excluding Mount Olive's portion. If you add in Mount Olive's portion, we're at 60%. So we're well above where we had expected to be in a budget standpoint. Just as an update for Mount Olive, what is owed to Mount Olive at this point is, if you look under the account number 3271, that's $4,845.91. So that is what they have available to them, plus the fund balance, the committed fund balance from last year, which you would see on your balance sheet in the second page. So right now, they have about $11,719 sitting there available to them.
So either way, both funds are doing much better than we thought they were going to.
Right.
And I'm very pleased that they are.
And in all likelihood, they'll probably make a request to use some of that at the Pickle Festival.
Probably so.
But they'll have a good amount of money to do that this year. I did want to just comment on that. This is the 1% that we take in. And so that goes, and we give it to travel and tourism. Y'all recall that? I wanted to comment briefly on the 2% that we get under the agreement for MRAC. When we negotiated that agreement, my recollection is I think a penny was bringing in about $115,000. So at 2%, we were estimating about $230,000. It's already up around $270,000, and we have one more year to go before that opens. So my guesstimate is we're going to be in excess of $300,000 when we open that. So all of that will help subsidize that operation. So I just wanted y'all to know that it's coming in much better. The same as this, it'll be the same percentage. This is higher than we estimated. It'll be the same thing on that.
Excuse me, Chairman. When is the 2% from the cities to begin?
We're already getting it.
All right, we already get it.
We've gotten the first quarter. The second quarter is through December, I think.
Right, and
she'll get that probably in the next few days.
Well, as I recall, the entire plan was based upon the 2% to offset a good bit of the expenses of operating.
Yeah, and what we're doing right now, we're just banking that.
We're just building up our reserve.
We're building it up. Now, when we hire the director, then we'll start spending some of that money. But it's coming in far better than we estimated.
So where you'll see that is in the proprietary funds for the MRAC. That's where that occupancy tax will be going. It's because that's where the operations will be tracked when it's up and going.
And just to remind you, once the city builds that multi-sport complex, you'll have a lot more tournaments, soccer tournaments in here, and that should generate more occupancy tax as well. as well as MRAC once it
Yeah.
opens. So we're up significantly, and we haven't even opened our two prime tourism generators.
Ms. Gurley?
And I just make sure I understand, as I recall, that 2% takes care of operations to include salaries for those
Yes.
positions.
Yeah, when we patterned this after New Bern, and they were spending roughly about $400,000 a year out of the general fund to subsidize it. None of these convention centers are self-supporting totally. So we knew that going in, and what I'm telling you is that we're going to be close to 300,000 of what we need towards that, which is extremely good.
You know, when there's other venues open up, it really should start bringing in some extra occupancy dollars.
That's correct.
It'll be even better than your wings over wings, so to
That-
speak, because a lot of those are military and they don't pay that tax.
And they don't pay the tax, that's right.
And something has just dawned on me. Are we having a separate meter for the actual convention center portion versus the office portion?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I don't think we have, but
That's a
all of a
good
sudden I
question.
It is
realize
a good question.
That's a good
that
question.
we do need to separate those two.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. We'll
Jot
find
that
out.
down.
But you
We'll
can find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I believe even if you don't, or decide not to, I think Duke Energy could run the model and show you what the estimations would be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, I certainly hope we won't be running an air over there if there's nothing going on.
That's pretty much all I was gonna update you on. The balance sheet's attached on the back page. That just kinda shows you, we've got 98,000 sitting in the bank over there. And, so other than that, everything's going well with tourism. Is there any questions, any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
All right, to our last item, next to last item. Said we talked about public comments policy.
Yes. And this is just an approval of change to the public comments policy. As I say, y'all adopted that in writing, so Borden felt like we should change it in writing, and that's why he's written this up for you. So if you agree to this and move it to 5 minutes at 9:05, then the chairman and clerk will sign off on it, and then we put it in writing that that is our policy.
Anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Comment from me, I think it's a good idea to move it on up a little bit. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, and the changes of the agenda were number 8.
Chip, do you want to go over those two changes?
All I got is Julie.
Chip is the point person on both of these.
Well, we've become aware of 2 grant programs that we need to apply for. One is a stream cleanout grant program through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's for hazard recovery for streams that received damage from Hurricane Matthew. This has a March 3rd deadline, and I need a motion for the county to apply for funds for stream cleanout. The second one is a infrastructure grant through the Golden Leaf Foundation for communities that were affected or damaged from Hurricane Matthew. This has a March the 3rd deadline. We will be applying for funds in both of these, and I would need a motion to proceed in that application process.
The second one is for what purpose?
It's a infrastructure grant. It pays for damaged infrastructure. That could include sewer or actual facilities.
We're looking at the Seven Springs facility.
Oh, okay.
With EMS.
And it would also pay for sewer infrastructure that was damaged. We'll be applying for some of that too. And the first one with the USDA was a snag and drag stream cleanouts, where they send crews in and clean those streams from debris that has fallen down into the stream bed. It's done with light equipment, and so we would need a motion for us to move forward with applying for those funds.
Before I make the motion, thank you, Chip, for staying involved with this and on top of it. And just for clarity, for when we start getting the message out there, Chip will be the point of contact for these grant applications.
Yeah, well, actually, Ashley Smith will do the one on debris cleanup. What we did, and I want to give Joe Gurley some credit on this, he approached me about, was there anything out there on stream cleanup? I put together about 3 or 4 of our departments that would be affected by this. And so CHIP, Soil and Water, and Cooperative Extension have all been working on this and researching it, and I want to say that Ashley Smith found out about a program. We brought the person in that runs it for the state, who happened to work for the county years ago. So it's all worked out well. We think it'll be in the neighborhood of about 150 grand, somewhere like that. I think she said it's been the norm. We might get more, but we can do quite a bit with 150,000. But I think Ashley will probably be the point of contact there.
Okay.
Chip will be on the, we're looking at an EMS station and possibly our, the existing pump station that sits out there by SPX that's in that field, because that was inundated during the hurricane. And I think, isn't that the 2 projects we were looking at?
And possibly Seven Springs Fire Department.
Yeah, the fire department.
Seven Springs Volunteer Fire Department.
Yeah, and you're gonna get with them on that.
Yes.
So he will be the point of contact on that one.
Good.
Sure. Yes.
Did I hear you say that Soil and Water had some streams that they were recommended to be cleaned? Is there a way that any of us or I could get a list of those streams?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we'll give it to you. They're still working it up. That's how quick this has been. I think we only met with the person towards the end of last week. So I've assigned that to Ashley to go through, because, you know, they do all of our stream work already. And by the way, the 50-something thousand we pay for beaver eradication every year, we get to count that as in-kind grant match. And we also get to count, I believe it's 12.5% of the salaries we pay to them for our people. So we already have the match taken care of on this grant. But we can certainly get that for you, Ray. I've asked them to look at the ones that, and working with Chip, is where did we have the most flooding? Where was most of the damage occurring? And see what we can get done. And that's what they're going to place an emphasis on, is they want to, the whole thing is for hazard mitigation. So what we've got to prove to the state is these are the areas where we had the most problems. But clearly, Hood Drive, all of that, I think there's 2 creeks that merge there. You know, clearly those are going to be on there. And then she's got some others in mind as well.
Hey, I mentioned this to Chip. I've got several citizens that have contacted me. The biggest issue with them, these few, seems to be that they can't get anywhere with the blue line ditches, getting those, that they're sort of at their wits' end as to what to do. In one case, beavers are an issue.
Well, if you'll give me that information, I'll get that to Ashley and make sure they look at it and see if that can be included.
Okay, all right, thank you, I'll do that.
Ready?
Yep, thanks so.
I'll make a motion before I do. Mr. Herring, this is certainly newsworthy for our friends at News Argus, isn't it? Mr. Chairman, make a motion to seek funding in the form of a grant for 1, stream cleanup programs through the USDA Disaster Assistance Program, and 2, infrastructure development and improvements grant funding through the Golden Leaf Foundation for Disaster Assistance.
It's all right to do it into the, okay. There's a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. County manager comments.
I only have a couple. I was gonna mention about the jail, but Larry already did that. So, the only other thing I wanted to mention is that we are in the middle of budget preparation now. We're starting pretty strongly. We hope to have a recommendation back to you on the 911 center at the next meeting. As y'all recall, we have one issue left to deal with, and that is the wind speed design. And the Facilities Committee will be meeting this morning, right after this meeting, and that is on that agenda. So hopefully in 2 weeks, we can get back with you on that and make a decision there. The MRAC is on schedule. Everything's going well out there. One thing I did want to mention is we'll have a meeting later this week, and that'll be on the furnishings and fixtures and things like that. So we'll nail all that down. They're bringing in their interior decorator. We've already done some of this before, but we just want to, just like we did with the brick and mortar colors and all that, we want to go through everything one more time, make sure we're comfortable with what.
And I meant to ask you too, y'all met the other day, did y'all talk about the brick pavers or?
That'll be at this meeting Thursday.
If I'm available, I sure like to.
Well, it's on there.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, and that meeting is open if any of you want to come, and clearly, Bill, we want you there because of the pavers. Those are the main things that we're working on. I have reviewed most of the applications on the director, and I need to get with you, Mr. Chairman, on that. And that's all I've got.
All right. Commissioner, I'll start with Commissioner Daugherty.
Really? Throw me under the bus there. I think the only thing I want to say is after 7 months, we have finally gotten the signs changed down in LaGrange. So it shows that there is actually a Goldsboro exit there, and it makes a difference. I'm on that side of town, and I can tell you the traffic that came from the westward traffic, it just cut off completely. And I've seen some increase in traffic in front of my sales center as a result of that. So hopefully it's going to help out some of our gas stations and barbecue places and so forth. But that has finally taken place. I still don't know where we are at in regards to our welcome signs. Those people run mighty slow up there in making those signs. But at any rate, good meeting with our legislators. We had breakfast meeting, and I really enjoyed the breakfast meeting with them. They certainly are concerned about the affairs that go on here in Wayne County, and we've got good representation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity to, as a matter of fact, at the end of the last commission meeting, the editor-owner of the Tribune invited me to come to a Rotary meeting. Dr. Dunsmore, Superintendent of Public Schools, making a presentation or a speech, I we would characterize it, at the library in Mount Olive. And it was well attended by the local community, and there were quite a few educational things that Dr. Dunsmore brought out. It's obvious he's working hard to try to improve the status of education in Wayne County. It is not easy. It will take all the parents involved to make our education process better, not just what superintendent staff or the principal or the teachers of the school can do. It's going to be input and a concerted effort by all parties to include the parents. Had an opportunity to attend the Black History presentation last Friday night at what we call the Old Carver Building. And it was speech by Antonio Lawrence. He's a local minister, a pastor in the county, but he also teaches at Brogdon Middle School. And that was one of the more refreshing speeches that I had heard. Probably he threw a little bit of that pastor oratorical opportunity in there also. I found it interesting attending the legislative, the breakfast with the legislators. Jimmy Dixon made the comment. He named three things, but the one thing that one of the things that he emphasized was a collective need for all of us to work on K-12 education. And pay close attention to what Raleigh would do with class sizes. I'm not going to try to be an expert on class size, but if class sizes are lowered in one grade and there's not more money put in it, it will increase the class numbers or eliminate classes someplace else. One of the things that governments tend to do, if they want to lower the class size in, say, grades 3 and 4, one of the first things they talk about is eliminating PE or cutting it back, and the arts and so forth. Our population, our young population is already overweight, and some of our old population is overweight also. So I won't pick on anybody versus bring that out about the old population being overweight. I will make sure we don't exclude ourselves. But our young people need to have opportunities to do physical education. And that's just not running and jumping. It's learning. If a well-tuned PE department is in place, children will learn how to participate in a lot of different games. And so that's something that will benefit them over a lifetime, to know about soccer, tennis, golf, as well as basketball, football, and baseball. So please keep your eye on whatever the legislators say they're going to do about class size, because if we're not careful, that dollar figure will get shifted back to the county, and then, of course, the school system will come looking to our county manager for dollars to offset something that they may lose. So that's a and the last thing, I had an opportunity to meet with the town of Mount Olive yesterday, and I won't try to get into the weeds, but thank you, Mr. Wood, for you all having some previous meetings with them, working together on EMS situations and those kinds of things. And every opportunity I can get a chance to congratulate our county manager and his opportunity and his effort to work with our municipalities, I want to do so, because that's something that we need to keep on the forefront of our agenda also, is the good working relationship around the county with all the municipalities, not just Mount Olive because I live there, but Pikeville and Fremont and everywhere else, Mr. Mayo. So thank you, Mr. Wood, for working. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
I only have just a couple. I guess the week after our last meeting, the rest of that week, I had the worst case of the flu I've ever had in my life, just a plain old fashioned flu. And I had the flu shot. So I missed a lot of my meetings, but one of the ones that I was able to go to was this past week at the Wayne County Transportation meeting. And one of the highlights that on the 14th, I attended the interfaith breakfast at the Goldsboro Event Center, which included the city, the county, and Seymour Johnson. And we just had a meeting of different faiths, different people spoke. I did speak on behalf of the county commissioners, and the theme was unity. And in order for us to confront issues that we have across our county, state, and nation, I think the overriding theme is, and I said so, is that faith has to be a part of our decision-making in order to move forward. And I also went so far as to say that separation of church and state, in my personal opinion, has gone too far. That it's gone so far that it needs to be brought back in a little bit. Faith is a big, important part of our future. Also, y'all forgot to mention, we went to ethics training.
True,
I forgot that.
I was leaving that for you.
You were leaving that for Well, that was a pretty hot topic too, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
dog?
That'd be helpful.
But at any rate, we have that over with for what, another 4 years? So, yeah.
3 years and 10 months.
Try not to.
Y'all can go back.
Yeah, but also I was able to meet with a special meeting with the North Carolina delegation that some of us were at, and I agree. There was some good information given that's brought us together, and we're gonna have to come together. We don't have a choice if we're gonna fix some of these issues that we're facing. So I'm glad to see that unity, togetherness, perseverance, faith, all these things, when you throw it together, I got a feeling that we have to come out with some good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Boone?
The only thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is that East Point, as of July the 1st, will no longer be East Point. It will be Cardinal Innovation. And I think that's going to be a good fit for the 12 counties that we now know as East Point. We will move from 12 counties to 36 counties. And they are one of the top MCOs in the state, in the country, matter of fact. And I think some of the ideas and things that they are bringing to the table will also help Wayne County have such things as walk-in clinics and some other things that they are working on. So just want you to know that it was voted on last Tuesday, and they are waiting for July the 1st to get here.
Mr. Echo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. Just want to remind all of you that the Firefighters Association meets tonight. Marmac is the host department, but there will be actually a meeting at Love Memorial Church right down the road from Marmac Fire Station. Also, I attended several meetings. Most of them have been mentioned, so I won't go into any detail on them. But Commissioner Doherty mentioned about the highway signs. Yes, it works. I was coming home from the coast the other night, and when I saw Goldsboro, I got off. And I could have took the interstate all the way home. So the signs are working. And like I say, I've attended several other meetings, but the most important meeting, I took my wife out to dinner on Valentine's, and that was the most important meeting that I had this month. Thank y'all.
Amen.
Can you talk that?
How do you talk? I would like to mention attending the Goldsboro MPO TAC meeting. A lot of information shared about. I would like to ask the chairman and county manager to consider in the near future maybe getting Giles Harrell and Tim Little here to do a short briefing on the DOT projects. Got some big ones coming up this year, and I think it'd be interesting to have them here just to give a quick explanation. Thank you.
Well, like Mr. Mayo, I don't know whether it was the flu or what I had, but I was a sick puppy there for about a week or so. So I missed several things, and I appreciate the rest of you standing up and taking care of that. But I did drag myself out to the legislators meeting last Friday, and I was glad that I did, even though I still didn't feel that well, because together, we've got to work together, and is what I think John Bell said, that we're losing representation in Eastern 95. And as time goes on, we're going to have even less clout in the legislature. So, well, we got these folks where they are. We need to strike while the iron's hot. And I think these meetings are really good things to have, and not just for that, but we're fortunate that we know each other. We didn't have to go around and introduce ourselves, that kind of thing. We could talk straight up. And I would just like to ask Joe, the commissioners, do you have any other ideas or suggestions on how we might meet with them more or less, or different venue, or any thoughts on that?
Since you mentioned, I do have one.
Okay.
I think if we could break it down to a couple of 3 commissioners at the time and hit our legislators separately, if we have to go to Raleigh, we could spend more time talking one-on-one and won't be so compact for that hour and a half we have and trying to jam everything in one little bit, rather than just do it once or twice a year, be more frequent and still try to engage our NCACC dialogue with it as well. But good meeting, but just wasn't enough time to get everybody's opinion expressed, I feel like.
Well, I kind of like that idea. That way, if we have something that becomes a hot issue for us, whoever ends up going, could take that directly to them rather than bring the whole board together.
No Medicaid update, like Commissioner Doherty?
I think Mr. Curley has a good idea about maybe taking a visit to Raleigh sometimes. I would like to see, I'd like to probably just observe them in session and the interaction. Not that they're gonna pick the time that we're there to put on a special performance, but just to see them in their environment and just to watch maybe what's happening at the legislature. I think we do need to pay more attention. And I was glad the young John Bill, the other John Bill, brought out the fact that we'll be losing clout. We'll be losing clout, and more specifically, and I don't want to get into the weeds for the numbers, but sort of broadly, he said that Wake County and Charlotte and maybe Greensboro, 2 or 3 of those large, will have more representation than the East and the West put together. So we need to pay real close attention to that. Don't let what's important to them overshadow what's important to us.
Well, I think another important factor, if we can go to Raleigh and notify them in advance what we'd like to speak about, and then if they can have some of their legal counsel on board ahead of time researching it, I think it'll save everybody a little bit of time.
Well, you're right, because everybody can't be an expert about everything, even though you're up there voting on it. You need somebody to do a little background work for you so they can talk to us. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a comment about what Kamadi just talked about Greensboro, Charlotte, Raleigh, overpowering all the rest of the state. 8 years ago, I tried to get all the eastern counties and some of the other counties, smaller counties, to come together. You're not going to be able to do it as Democrats and Republicans. You're going to have to come together as a bipartisan group in order to fight that threesome up there. And as long as we kind of stand back and say, well, okay, I'm going to be a Democrat and I'm going to be a Republican, and they're going to eat you alive because they don't care anything about that. They just care about what's going to happen in those 3 entities. So y'all need to talk to your constituents and your representatives on that, consolidating with other groups and come together as a power.
I tried to when I had the opportunity, but I think you're right, and I don't think people were farsighted enough to see that this was going to be such a problem. And like John said, in the next census, we won't really see the impact.
You ready for a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I am.
So moved.
All in favor? Later.
This has been a presentation by Wayne Goldsboro Television of the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. Wayne County Commissioners meet the first and third Tuesday of each month in the Commissioners' Meeting Room on the 4th floor of the Wayne County Courthouse at 224 East Walnut Street in Goldsboro, North Carolina. For more information, the County of Wayne is online at www.waynegov.com. The mailing address is Post Office Box 227, Goldsboro, North Carolina 27533. Thank you for watching.